Hey friends, welcome to this week's video. This week we're going to go over another small speaker, and if you're familiar with my channel, it's from a company that I've done plenty of reviews on. Muzen is a company that I generally recommend, not just because they're super cute, they make some small, very portable speakers, but because they make great gifts, as well as the fact that despite their small size, they push out surprising sound. So I've overall been pretty satisfied with the quality and sound that these speakers provide, so it's an easy recommendation from me. However, their aesthetic is usually very vintage or very cutesy. So like the button is like the small metal and it's just very like bubbly vintage, while they have other speakers like the OTR wood, which is, you know, is a little bit more classically vintage. However, they've never really made a speaker that was good for the elements or great for everyday travel. I think they've tried to fix that with their newest installment of the Muzen Wild. It is the chunkier, fatter, heavier brother of the button, and there's a lot of different features here that make this unique to the rest of the line. So let's get into the specifications and talk about it. The Muzen Wild comes packaged quite nicely, as do all Muzen products. This package came with a braided paracord lanyard and a carry case, which were bonus items from the Kickstarter. With the launch officially out, the lanyard can be purchased separately for $20. The case is made of hard plastic and takes design notes from military crates to fit the more rugged aesthetic that they're going for. Not shown here is the charging cable and paperwork hidden underneath the padding. I just simply forgot to shoot it, maybe. The new body's in all-metal construction is much more sturdy than the button was. Even the knobs and the switches have a nice weight to them that was missing on the button speaker. I love the color accents they chose and how that color proliferates through the decals and text of the speaker to make it really all cohesive. On the right side of the speaker, the charging port is covered by a metal rubber-lined lid to help with the water resistance. However, I am a bit disappointed that they stuck with micro USB here despite the cries from their fans to use USB-C. This is nothing crazy, but just a bit of an annoyance, especially with how long USB-C has been out there. The other new addition to this speaker is the inclusion of a flashlight, which has 3 modes of use: low, high, and SOS. When the flashlight is not in use, the indicator light in the middle does pulsate slowly when the phone is connected to the Muzen Wild. When laying it up against the button, it's slightly bigger in all dimensions. While it's still small enough to pocket, it won't nicely fit in like the Muzen button does due to the chunkiness and harder edges in the Wild. While both are metal, the button is much more soft touch glossy metal, while the Wild is denser with a slight texture to it. My biggest peeve with the button was that the controls were a little flimsy feeling. Outside of the wheel, the switch and the toggle didn't feel as solid, and the on and off switch felt somewhat loose, and I'd find that it accidentally turned itself on when rustling in my bag, so sometimes I'd have a dead speaker. The Muzen Wild fixes that. Not only are the controls metal, but they have a nice weight to them. Best of all, the volume knob is large for easy thumb control and has a lovely feeling and audible click to it. As for the mode switch, it has a nice spring back to it, and the playback controls have a satisfying resistance to the wheel, as well as a strong tactile play pause button. Getting into the speaker itself, the new materials help with the water resistance, which I tested quite generously in the last snowfall here in Boston. However, the switch in materials also is good to help sound. They've added a zinc alloy cavity in addition to DSP tech, a digital amplifier, and an N40 rare earth magnet to assist with sound resonance, depth, and clarity. While it doesn't have the latest codecs for high definition music, you can still achieve a wonderfully clear and punchy sound whether you're indoors or outdoors. To get you a good sense of the sound quality and volume, the next section goes over some sound samples that'll hopefully represent what I'm talking about. now that you guys understand the volume that this can push out, the sound quality is also something to note here. The button had a pleasant sound, a little bit emptier sounding than I would like. Obviously, it didn't hit on the bass like the OTR did. However, this does. This fits that gap a little bit better, and it sounds more full. So I guess the bigger speaker, as well as I guess the added size, isn't just because they have a heavier metal body, but it's also a bigger speaker with more space to push that air around. So you do get a more full sound with a little bit more thump. But again, let's just go into the sound samples so you guys can hear this compared to the button directly. To me, Muzen hit this right on the money. If you're in the market for a new speaker and the new aesthetic works for your vibe, then I think this would be a good contender for your everyday carry. The 6-hour playback should get you a decent music session in the park or short stop during your hike, and it should be able to handle a decent amount of punishment from your travels. While I still adore the Muzen button, if I gotta think about the Wild's stronger construction, the more satisfying controls, and the improved sound quality, the Wild is just gonna win that spot in my bag every time. I may be giving up a little bit in terms of pocketability, but it's a small concession when you think about all the things you're gaining from that bump up in size and weight. And come on, it's still palm size, it's easy to carry. It's getting me really excited for when things start warming up again and I get back to my regular schedule of spending most of my time outside. The button was amazing for outdoor hangs during social distancing. The Wild would just bring it to a new level this time around. So yeah, I mean, it sounds better, it's heavier, more durable, and has a unique design aesthetic that's an easy conversation starter. So it's gonna be an easy recommendation from my side. But yeah, some things to note here is I got this off a Kickstarter. Initially they had ran with another set of colors, so there's this gray, I believe there's a green, and there's a red, and I really wanted the red, but for some reason they pulled all colors and then they only provided the charcoal. So I just picked a couple of these and gave one as a gift. But I think the colors came back, but just not the red. So I do think it came back in a green, like a drab green, or maybe it's just an olive green, and then a sand color. So there are other options for colors. I still think this is the cooler looking one. I do like the accented colors, as well as it just seems like it's not trying as hard as the other ones. If they ever do come with the red one, I'll probably get it, but that red one was dope. Muzen, if you're listening to this, bring it back. Why'd you take it away from the campaign? But yeah, again, I got this at a cheaper price because of the Kickstarter. However, they do have it on Amazon right now, so you can pick it up. I'll put links in below, but it's not absorbently priced, so it's gonna be a recommendation from me. If you guys have any other questions about the speaker, let me know. I can answer in the comments. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for engaging with me and continuing subscribing. It's been really, really cool to talk with all y'all and get your inputs, even if they are aggressive sometimes. But I'm down with it. We can have a conversation. We can battle. Let's go. But anyway, if you're new here, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, do all the things that you normally do on a video that you like and love. And if you're returning, again, I promised you I'll get videos out sooner. It's been one of those weeks, but I do have a lot of B-roll, so I'm going to be processing that and trying to get a couple more videos out in the coming days. So stick with me. But yeah, I think that's all for this video. But I appreciate you guys. See you soon. Later.